For fast, cheap, and reliable Madden 21 Ultimate Team coins, make sure you guys go check out my sponsor U4GM Coins. Use code VENM at checkout for 5% off your order. Yo, what's good guys, VENM here back to the video, and today me bringing you guys my Gun Trey Flex mini scheme. Gun Trey Flex has always been one of the best formations in Madden. It's very balanced with the run and the pass. So we're going to be talking about that a lot today. Now, I'm going to be focused on beating man coverage because it's really what the meta is right now. I thought it would slow down a little bit, but I'm still facing, a lot of man coverage pretty much every game. Now, one thing that's worse about the Trey Flex this year is that you actually can't sub in 4 wide receivers. It is very unfortunate, but it's something that, you got to deal with, and you can't really do anything about it. So I do recommend getting a better tight end. Years past, you could get 4 wide receivers in this formation. This year you cannot. So as far as the playbooks, I am in the Raiders playbook, and Trey Flex is very good. It's pretty much the same out of every formation, give or take a couple of plays. I think Raiders is the best, but you will also have tons of good plays in Saints as well. Let's go ahead and set our audibles though. We got Dagger, Inside Zone, SE, Corner, in Levels, Y. Corner. Now, a couple of honorable mentions I'll probably mention at the end, just a couple of small plays, but those are going to be the main plays. It all starts out with the inside zone, so we will just go ahead and hop into that. Here we are out on the field. Now you see inside zone. Now, one thing about Trey Flex, I've seen a lot of people say that the run is better with the trips on the short side. I personally just never run my trips on the short side, so I feel like that could be a tell whether you're running the ball or not. And passing from the short side in general with your trips is just very difficult to do. So I usually just run the ball, with my trips on the wide side like always. Again, if you wanted to mix in a couple of short side inside zones, you can definitely do that. Again, I don't think it makes too big of a difference. But inside zone is very good this year. Pretty much out of any formation, you want to run inside zone, especially if you're a passer. I know that as far as me passing the ball, I've been known to just completely give up on the run throughout the games, and that's when you really lose games. You want to stay balanced this year. That's the best way to run offense. Even if you're in a bunch or a trips, you want to run the ball inside zone at least 10 times a game, I would say. And you see how deadly this one can be. Just against a base 3-3-5 wide defense, you see the blocks developing just extremely well up the middle for Ezekiel Elliott. Now, one thing that you could do if you want to, you could always run the read option instead of the inside zone if you have a mobile QB. So there is a read option out of this playbook. I'm not running it currently, but if you wanted to, that would completely take a player like this guy out of the play. He would just be playing Dak on the QB option if his adjustment was set. But you see, even if they get a block shed or whatever, it still is usually a 5-yard run. It's just very difficult to shoot the gap. If you want to mix in a little bit of motion, you can motion CeeDee Lamb in, but again, we're going against 2-man under, so you can't really motion snap him there. You kind of have to wait, and then it's just not as good. If they are running zone coverage, though, I like to motion in that receiver and then motion snap him when he gets at the left tackle's hip. I feel like that gives you better blocking, but again, man, obviously that's not the case, but I'll show it a couple more times. You see, it's not going to be a guaranteed TD, but the big play potential really is there, I will say, and you definitely do have a big chance to take it for 6 pretty much every time you run it. Again, the blocks will usually develop different ways depending on the formation. You see we're just sitting in this 3-3-5 wide, but again, give or take, a couple of yards. This is a very consistent run play. And again, I like to motion in that receiver. I would snap him around the left tackle if it were zone, but there you see, just mixing in a couple of different motions, you'll get a different result. That time I was able to cut it outside, which is definitely nice. But let's move on to the pass plays. Really do like to pass the ball out of this formation. It's definitely a lot of fun to do. This was probably one of my top 5 favorite formations last year. I haven't ran it as much this year, but it is still very good. And it's going to start with Dagger. Dagger's probably one of the best stock plays in the game, besides certain plays like Pat's Verts. But Dagger's very good. You got a crossing route with Cooper, you got a streak, you got a dig, and then you have a drag and this little check and release, I guess would be called. But against man, you can really just quick snap this and you'll have 2 man-beating routes. Take a look at Amari Cooper's separation right there. It's completely overpowered right there. This crosser will not be defended in one-on-one coverage, especially if you're going to press. You see they're not even pressed, and the separation is just completely there with Amari Cooper. Again, man coverage, crossers are one of those, probably the best route, I would say, to beat man coverage this year. Crossers, really, man coverage just has no shot of defending it. Now, obviously, depending on what the speed difference is, maybe they can. But really, you see the separation is second to none right there. And we're going to go back to that, but really, let's move on to the other routes. You got a drag. Drags are pretty good. You see we got like a 67 overall tight end there, burning a cornerback. And something about man coverage and this formation is that usually this drag route, this tight end will be defended by this cornerback. I'll just ID him, this cornerback on the outside. So putting him on inside routes, he's already going to have a step on him. Obviously, in Ultimate Team, if you have like a Tony Gonzalez or a Jermichael Finley, you will definitely have that added separation. But again, you see a guy like Dalton Schultz, 67 overall, able to get just complete separation on the cornerback. Definitely a nice thing to have. And then again, take a look at this dig route. Dig route's very good against man coverage, although I don't think they're as good as years past. The separation really is still there. So again, that's definitely a throwable football. But this is the reason that this play is so good is you can. One of the most annoying things this year is quick snapping. So let's say I'm running a pretty complicated defense. I'm running a variation of 2-man under where I'm putting, deep zones and certain flat zones and whatever the case may be. You can just come to the line, don't even have to make a single hot route and snap the football and just have one of the best stock plays. Take a look. The running back is just completely not even guarded. Usually he will be defended, but for whatever reason, whatever play the CPU were running, he was left open. That might happen when they're running a stock play. Also, you take a look at CeeDee Lamb. I know he is wide open, so take a look at CeeDee Lamb on this next play. He's going to be completely wide open against the man coverage. But really, the reason that I can't actually throw the ball is because they have the deep zone. So if they were to throw those deep zones and curl flats, that would be a throwable football depending on whoever you have. Now, one thing I will say is that you want your probably best two players right here. Unlike trips, when you flip this formation, you see now Cooper's going to be the outside receiver. In gun trips tight end, the slot receiver stays whether you flip the play or not. So depending on if you're on the left hash or right hash, you're going to want your two best players right here, and then probably just a speed guy or someone who's lower overall, your worst receiver right here in the slot. Again, unfortunate that you have to have a good tight end this year, but you do to run this formation the best way. But again, let's mix in some of our other setups, and this will be our main play, our main pass play. These plays are decent, but I really just like to mix around in dagger and mix in a couple of routes. Next thing we are going to do is mix in a little bit of a slant route. So what I like to do is just put A on a slant. I'm going to throw Y on a little flat route, or I could do an out route, whatever. I usually just go with a flat. So we have a crosser, we have a dig, we have a flat, and we have a slant. Now the tight end, again, and even how slow he is, he's getting very good separation on a slant, as pretty much any player would this year. So that's, again, something nice to have. And it really is nice to be able to put your tight end on a slant route in pretty much every formation. That's not something that you can do. Even the trips tight end offset, you can't do that. Trips tight end, you obviously can't do that, so that's a bonus from this formation. I know putting Y on a flat doesn't really do anything, but you just kind of want him out of the play. He will be pretty useless. So again, if it is just stock man coverage, you can go ahead and motion him over maybe on this little clear out route, just to sort of get him out of there, just to open up both the dig and the slant a little bit better. You don't want too many people over there, because that's when things get a little bit weird. Now I'll try and give you guys some zone setups. Probably another one of my favorite zone setups is going to be this, where I just throw Y on a flat, A on a hitch. Again, very decent setup against zone. Against man, it's obviously not going to be good with only the two man beaters. But if that were a cover 3, cover 2, that play would work. Again, I'm going against stock man coverage, so not going to talk about that for too long. Now, as far as the other setup goes, I like to throw A on this little zig route. That's going to be good for man coverage. Again, if you have a slow tight end, it might not work the best, but it's another thing you can mix in besides the drag. You see the separation would be there. You can tell if it were a faster wide receiver or tight end, But yeah, pretty much it for dagger. Again, you could always mix in certain things. There really is a lot of unique plays you can do. I could throw A on a streak, put Y on a backside slant. Maybe I throw X on like a drag, do something. You can really just mix in anything, and the sky's the limit with this formation. Again, very solid pass play right there. So let's mix in our last two plays, these level sail and tight end or SE corner. Now level sail, levels wide corner. Again, it's really not good against man coverage, which is why I didn't want to talk about it for too long. It's more so really good against zone, cover 3, cover 2. And the reason is because you're forcing them to double flat on the right side. You're forcing them to man up the running back, whatever the case may be. So my favorite setup for this It's going to be on a streak, and then I like to just smart route Y. So it's going to look like this. We got the in, we got the deep in, and then we got a little streak. Now again, against man, it won't be the best, but pretend that they're playing zone. That's a cover 2. We have him wide open. You see, even with the 2-man under, he's able to get over the top very effectively. So cover 2, 2-man under. If you have the speed advantage, you can definitely go crazy with that. And your best receiver will be in the slot as well. So again, you're throwing B on a streak, smart routing Y. And again, if it is man coverage, typically Zeke would be covered on that. I know for whatever reason he's not being manned up. But again, pretend that he's covered. So really, your man-beating routes in this instance are just going to be Y and X. If I wanted to, something I could do is actually motion gallop over, throw him on a little backside slant. So I got 2 man-beating routes. I got Y and X going to different sides of the field. Makes it a lot more difficult to user. But you see right there, CD's wide open. Gallop obviously had a ton of separation. So again, pretty not the best man. So again, not the best play against man, but you can really do some things. I could obviously just completely mix in a different setup like this. Y on a zig, that's a man-beating route. Cooper's a man-beating route. Gallop's a man-beating route. And then obviously you got the corner route. That's not going to really get separation, but against zone, that is a solid corner route to have on your field. But again, levels wide corner, I mix it in against zone. Against man, you don't really catch me running that play. But let's go to another play. Let's go to SE corner. Now this play, it's again probably a little bit better against zone, but there's ways to make it good against man coverage as well. And probably my favorite way is to throw Y on a little slant, X on a streak, and then I like to throw A on a little curl. Now another thing you could do is maybe you go with RB on a little streak, and then I would throw A on a flat. So this is probably my A1, A2 setups. This one, you got a little 2-man beating routes. You got the post, you got the corner, and then you got Zeke up the middle, which against zone coverage will be definitely a very underrated route. Against man coverage, though, he'll be manned up. He won't really get the separation you want. But again, I really like to use this little corner route with Cooper as a post route, because the corner routes really, even though they get open, it's a difficult pass to make on the sidelines because the click on interceptions. If it's a bullet pass, they can click on, they can make a play on the football. So again, I go with Y on a slant, X on a little streak, RB on a streak, A on a little flat. Again, I could obviously put A on a zig. I could put A on an out route. It doesn't make any really difference. He's just got to be in the flats. If it is zone coverage, you saw him get a lot of separation right there, as I meant to throw B, but I guess I just didn't click the button. Now again, the other setup I was sort of talking about is if I were to throw A on a streak, and I would put RB on a little option, Y on the slant, X on a streak, motion Cooper over. So it would look like this. Again, you can pretty much run the same setups just with your little twist on it. Again, you don't have to run the setups exactly how I say them. But I'm just sort of giving you an idea of what you could do with these plays against man coverage. Against zone, probably my favorite setup would be something like this or like this, and I would motion gallop inside. So just for video's sake, I'm going to give you a little bit of a look on that. So what I would do is I would put RB on an option. I would keep A on this little route because that's a pretty good route against zone. And then I would motion gallop over. So against man coverage, what you have to do, but pretend it's zone, I would motion him in like right about there and snap the ball. But again, obviously in man coverage, you see the separation not really there, not the best play. But against zone, that's a go-to play of mine. But again, that's pretty much going to do it for the video. If you guys did enjoy, though, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. I do wish this play or this formation had an 0-1 trap. Unfortunately, it doesn't. But yeah, it's going to do it for the video. Follow me on Twitter. Link will be in the description. And peace. I'm out of here.